We got another one of them. Popping at the mouth or the side of his neck when he pouts. No argument, no rebuttal from. He ain't from my town, I don't know him, so I'm guessing he's a clown.
I knew taking a picture with Stephanie McMahon was going to cause trouble for Brett Lauderdale. Alright, welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. This is your host, MagMongoSlade. Today we're going to be talking about GCW being under fire, specifically owner Brett Lauderdale for supposedly creating fake COVID tests so that they can run in venues across the United States. This is an absolutely insane story with actual evidence. So this is pretty good. So a guy went on Facebook. I believe his name, he's a GCW promoter or a former promoter of some kind, of some description. His name is Mickey Gordon. He went to the Murder, Death, Kill Club, which is the Nick Gage Facebook page. And there was a lot of stuff that came out of this whole thing. A lot. Now, we're going to be here for a while just reading the stuff off of the Facebook. When we get to the evidence, we'll be putting it on the screen. Okay? All right. So he says, and I quote, "Fuck Brett Lauderdale. Brett ran tons of shows during COVID because he got us to make a ton of fake, false, negative COVID-19 tests. Brett made his money off the backs of guys like Nick Gage while paying him peanuts and handling Gage's social media and bookings. Who did Brett ever make famous? Joey, I'm a fucktard Janela? Joey got famous for being tossed off a building and got a contract. Once AEW realized he had no talent, they benched and eventually didn't re-sign him. Why? Because he's a fucking unsafe dipshit who can't light a limb on fire." Pause. I seen Joey Janela set himself on fire to do a super kick and couldn't get it off. I was only upset that he didn't finish the job. Let's continue. Brett doesn't get anyone a contract. Brett doesn't give his wrestlers a raise. How can you be an outlaw when you're sucking Stephanie McMahon's dick backstage at WrestleMania on comps, on comps that she gave you? Ask Atticus Cougar why he won't work for Brett. Ask Mike G. Vorgian why he quit working for Brett. Now Brett walks into every town in America and promises all the local indie talent he can, quote, make them stars, when he really just underpays them and gets them to cancel their local bookings to get on GCWs. They drive wrestlers around and do everything he needed in hopes that they would, quote, get the rub one day to find that we've been backdoored by another, quote, local SoCal school so the toothless pussy could get gigs. Fuck Brett Lauderdale. Brett is a fucking twat. He started a deathmatch promotion which turned into Sesame Street. Brett Lauderdale is just DJ Hyde, who was too big of a pussy to ever step into a ring. Now there's a lot of stuff going on. There's actually some more. There's actually some more fuck Brett Lauderdale stuff that come out. But this Atticus Cougar thing, I was kind of interested in what that was. Now Atticus Cougar was a wrestler for GCW. He actually quit GCW earlier, I believe in 2022. In March of 2022, he put out a statement saying he would not work with GCW anymore. Now, Atticus Cougar was actually at the first GCW show I went to. He was the guy who was threatened. He had kidnapped Sabu. He had done a segment where he kidnapped Sabu or whatever. So, here is Atticus Cougar explaining why he's done with GCW. It says, quote, "It's simply because me and the office don't see eye to eye on the way business is handled. The locker room is extremely toxic for someone who has battled with drug issues. It's toxic for someone who has battled with mental health issues. This is all strictly my point of view. I'm not speaking for anyone else in Game Changer Wrestling's locker room. If others don't feel that way, that's on them and that's fine. It got to the point where my mental health is bad and I'm doing every GCW show. And I was very loyal for the exposure, and Brett, it got me to where I am today. I'm very thankful and grateful for that. We didn't get along towards the end. My ultimate goal in pro wrestling is to be able to make a living off pro wrestling. With my new opportunities, I'll be able to do that. If I stayed in GCW, which I like wrestling for GCW, so I'm not going to bash them as a company running shows, it just got to the point where I wasn't having fun anymore, and I didn't like being there. Another reason why I decided to step away from GCW, I didn't like how the people who I was close to were treated. I didn't like how Ricky Shane Page was treated. I didn't like the way everything went about after War Games. It's not my business to speak on it, so I won't. And I didn't like it. Eddie Only still hasn't been paid for Hammerstein. There are little things like that. People were being disrespected. I didn't agree with that and the way things were handled in that respect. Now, GCW has been under fire since they ran that Hammerstein show. The Hammerstein show was the biggest show that they've ever done. And it was kind of soft. It was kind of a weak show. Now, I'm pretty sure in New York or the Hammerstein Ballroom probably had all kinds of limitations on what they could do in that venue. So it wasn't as bloody and crazy as their previous shows. They were attempting to be a little bit more mainstream, and to be quite honest, I don't think it worked. I think they were criticized more for that show than any show that they've ever done. That being said, that's Atticus Cougar, who, this guy, Mickey Gordon, who I'm thinking is speaking on behalf of another Southern California promoter named Dirty Ron something? Let me take a look. It's Dirty Ron McDonald. That's his name. He's a Southern California promoter, apparently, who worked with GCW and was the guy who was actually providing the fake COVID tests. Now, let's go back to this Mickey Gordon Murder, Death, Kill Club thing. It says, now Brett walks into every town in America and promises all the indie town that he can make them a star. When he really underpays them and gets them to cancel their local bookings to get on GCW's YouTube show. Now, these indie guys can fly themselves out to AEW's YouTube show and go back on their local promoters and ask for $200 a match. How do the rest of GCW guys that come up with Brett feel that their $50 to $100 paydays, which were promised to be raised, are now being used on guys like Jeff Jarrett and Kevin Nash, while the GCW talent pay for their own rental cars and hotels? Why? Because fuck Brett Lauderdale. So I said, I found Brett his first venue in LA. My people made over 50 fake COVID test results so that he could run shows during the pandemic, October 2020 to January 2021. I paid talent, paid for accommodations, and split some costs so he could bring, quote, his guys to the LA arena on August 8th, 2019, November 7th, 2019, October 17th, 2020. And then when I brought them in September 2021, Brett told his guys I was cheap, and they told me about it in December 2021 when I brought them in again. So it's been pretty crazy. Now he did post some evidence of screenshots of Brett Lauderdale. I believe this is Facebook messaging him. I'll put that stuff on the screen as we go through it. But as you see here, I'm guessing this Dirty Ron gentleman is speaking through Mikey Gordon. Unless this is Mikey Gordon, is his real name. I'm not sure because I don't know who this guy is. But the idea that GCW talent get paid $50 to $100 and have to pay for their own rental cars and hotels. Now, that's pretty crazy. But there have been wrestlers from GCW who have said that is not true. As a matter of fact, a lot of this stuff has been denied by some wrestlers. Let's go through the evidence first, and then we're going to go through some of the denials from some GCW wrestlers. So that's pretty good. That's pretty fair, right? All right. So there is a picture of Brett Lauderdale. It's from, I believe, Facebook Messenger. Lauderdale says, yo. The other guy says, sup. Lauderdale says, I need some COVID tests. Can you help me? The other guy says, names, please. All and dates and all info, and give me 10 minutes to complete. Lauderdale sends him a list of names, and he says they all took their tests on either November 27th or November 28th. The guy says, you got it, and responded. And he says, 5 done, the rest will be coming all at once. Then this guy sends Brett Lauderdale a laundry list of test results. Lauderdale sends him back praying hands, like a thank you. Then we get the fake test results that is on the screen. It says, to Martin, something or other. This is from January 28th, 2021, which is not the date mentioned in the text message, by the way. But it says your COVID-19 test is negative. So then it tells people to, the symptoms of having COVID and all this kind of stuff. Now, this is important because fake COVID test could be a crime in some places. It could actually be a felony. So this is a big deal. And because of this, Brett Lauderdale has declined to comment further on this subject. So there will be no Lauderdale side of the issue as of recording. So that's very, very unfortunate. So Tony Deppen, who works routinely for Game Changer Wrestling, said, quote, he said it on Twitter, I normally don't speak upon things because I tend to just stick to myself, but I'll be damned if someone tries to ruin something I've spent a lot of time and energy into over the last 6 years. Because saying things like lying about tests is questioning my professionalism and morals. He continued saying that most people would shit themselves on the price he paid, he being Brett Lauderdale, for my one-way ticket from LA on Spirit. He says, pay for our own hotels? $50, huh? I never once paid for my hotel. Even the first time GCW went to LA years ago. And even when we were drawing 50 people, I was never paid that little. Never paid as little as $50 to $100. All right. Interesting. Joey Janela says, we always had groups like this on social media apps where many wrestlers have been told to sit out before. Roster is vaccinated now. See everyone in Texas. It's a list of, wrestlers who are, I guess, they're waiting on their test results. On the money issue, Joey Janela said, now that I sell my own merch again and work Fridays again, most GCW double shot weekends lately, I walked away with $2,500 plus. So that means he's making a little bit more. He says, my WrestleMania weekend money has gone to a new rack of teeth, in which will be placed on my mouth June 8th. If you believe any of that, you're believing a legit crackhead and a well-documented steroids abusing head case. So the guy the guy is apparently a crackhead, according to Joey Janela, who might or might not be true. Jordan Oliver, who also regularly works GCW, says, GCW made me send my test results to head referees. Brett made it clear to me many times, if you test positive or don't get a test, you can't compete. I believe he took it very serious. On top of that, GCW pays me very good. And that has been since day one. Of course, these are my experiences. And I think that is very important. Because remember, I don't know if I did a video on this. I think I did, though. In Evolve, Gabe Sapolsky was accused of making wrestlers work for free. Gabe Sapolsky kind of explained it like, the wrestlers that were working there for free, one, they wanted to work for free. Two, they were basically wrestlers he couldn't afford. Basically, there would be people who would come to the show and he wouldn't have any money in the budget for them. And if they would work for free, he would let them work for free for exposure. And he was basically being called out for, forcing wrestlers to work for free. Now, in this situation, I can understand that maybe there were wrestlers who made the GCW shows who were not fully in the budget, and then maybe Brett Lauderdale paid them $50 to $100 just to give them something for working on the show. That's entirely possible. And in a free market system, if the person is offered $50 to $100 and they take it, then, that's just me being an extremist, though. I know some people will turn up their nose at that, but I'm an extremist. You are worth only what you accept. Now, other people who may have been budgeted into the show, like a Joey Janela or a Jordan Oliver, they probably made substantially more money because they were already factored into the show and they were probably contacted and flown out and everything, right? But there's probably some local talent who saw the show and came scratching around at the door like, hey, I'll do it for peanuts and a hot dog. And Brett was like, okay, go ahead. And, and then maybe somebody else overheard that, or they told somebody that, or somebody knew about that, and they decided to feed this information to this other guy. It's typically, to me, it's very unfair, because if I make a deal with somebody, that's nobody else's business. So I'm not going to attack Brett Lauderdale for paying people so little, because I understand the situation, how it could be. Now, I've never heard, I mean, GCW is a small promotion anyway, so making $2,500, which is what Joey Janela said, like, maybe that's not a lot for most people. Most people will look at that and be like, 2,500, probably a little over 2,500. Maybe let's say 27, let's say $3,000 in a weekend. For an indie wrestler, it might not be too bad. But for other people, they may look at that and say, that's chump change. Look at you setting yourself on fire. You're falling on barbed wire and thumbtacks. What the fuck are you doing? And then some people have, tricked themselves into thinking that GCW is a huge promotion. Like, yeah, it's technically, I think, had more energy behind it up till Hammerstein, I would say. Hammerstein, again, kind of blew the doors off of it, and everybody was kind of like, I don't know about that. But it actually had far more energy behind it, and they had much bigger stars than Impact. Like, Impact was number 3 by default because it's still alive. It's a distant number 3, a far distant number 3. But GCW actually had energy behind it. They had John Moxley on the shows. They had Briscoes on the show. They had Jeff Jarrett wrestle on the show. They've had Sabu on this show. They've had Ricky Morton and Tuco Scorpio on the shows. They've had names on the show. So they had some energy behind them. They had some kick behind it. All right. So this has been pretty wild. Also, Brett Lauderdale let it slip a couple of months ago that WWE was interested in Bloodsport. The brand that WWE kind of mimicked with Raw Underground. And because this is likely going to end up in a very difficult situation, especially in a lawsuit or something like that, you may see people trying to sell off pieces of GCW. So who knows? But a lot of people are thinking that, they're getting roasted on Twitter a lot now. I wanted to make, I didn't want to put things out there and get people too confused. But this is a very, I wouldn't say it's a dangerous thing. Some people would say so, but there's a lot of fans that are turning on GCW. A lot of people didn't like GCW anyway. And there's 100 reasons why you wouldn't like it. I love the energy of the shows, even though I don't necessarily love the shows. I like being there though, like being in the environment and the atmosphere. It's a fun atmosphere. But do I just sit down and watch GCW shows? Not really, no. I actually think I've only watched one show since I've been to the last GCW show. I've probably watched one show since. It's not storyline based, so you don't have to follow it, and make sure you see it so you don't miss anything. There's no damn storylines, not really anyway. So this is what has been occurring. And Brett Lauderdale could be in some real hot water. So he was smart to, I'm guessing, lawyer up and bail out of this crap. That being said, though, a lot of people are wanting John Moxley, who, of course, works for AEW, to just throw the GCW title in the trash. I've seen so many people adding him and essentially talking about it, that Tony Khan should make him throw the belt in the trash, and Tony Khan should pull him from all future GCW shows. And it's getting ravenous out there. Of course, it is getting really bad. It's getting real bad. Okay. And this is the second brigading I think I've seen this week. Ringside News was brigaded the other day for being quote unquote transphobic. And so they're headhunting out there on the Twitter streets in the wrestling space right now. And GCW, these could be, let's be honest, these could be faked evidence too. It could be fake evidence. So we need to make sure, I don't know how to look at it, so I don't know if it's fake or not, but some people said that it might be fake screenshots. So it's entirely possible. Again, we're innocent until proven guilty over here, but somebody provided some actual evidence that says that this thing occurred. And I'm one of those people that kind of, if you've been listening to this channel for a little while, you probably already know my conception of the whole COVID test, and you need a test and you need a license. I'm not all about that licensing and testing shit. If people want to wrestle, let them wrestle. If they run the risk. If the fans want to show up, let them show up. If you don't want people running in that building, then don't offer the building, you know. But to forge documents, you know, it's a bit of a serious thing. No matter the reasons, it's still serious, you know, when you forge in documents. And since, you know, they don't have to tell us what they pay wrestlers, and to be quite honest, if the wrestler agreed, I don't see the problem. I don't see why we need to talk about it or why we need to discuss it. We can always find disgruntled wrestlers who used to work somewhere who are upset about it now. And, you know, the whole you don't pay people, you take advantage of them, that's the business version of when a girl says you got a small dick after you broke up. You know, that's the you were always mean to me, you never treated me right. It's like, yeah, after we broke up, you know, I got a small dick, I'm too fat, I'm too ugly, I'm broke, yada, yada, yada. You get the same stuff all the time. And so many people, when they get bitter with their former workplace, it becomes that sort of thing. You know, you don't pay people, you exploit them, you do this, you do that. So I take all that kind of stuff with a grain of salt. You know, if some big time wrestlers had come out, you know, and said, yeah, I was paid dirt for working with GCW, but I did it because I needed some money or something like that. All right, I would say that. You know, I would go with it. But considering this was just a figure quoted by a random Facebook account I had never heard of until I read that message, I don't really put a lot of stock into it. I put a lot of stock into this, and the reason I made this video is because there's so many people talking about it. And it could end up being a big deal later on, considering even though GCW is not a big promotion, it is one of the bigger wrestling promotions, touring wrestling brands in the United States right now. So to me, it's a story. Let me know what you guys think. And it's bizarre. You know, that's honestly a bizarre story that, you know, Brett Lauderdale would, you know, he's also getting a torch for cultural appropriation, by the way. Like, they're saying that a lot of, his shows are named after black cultural things. You know, I was just kind of, you just gotta shrug on that, man. Like, you just gotta shrug. But, it's just a bizarre story. You know, it's a very interesting thing that, you know, these guys are saying that Brett Lauderdale was forging COVID tests. But that's wild, you know. I respect the hustle. Like, share, and subscribe. I'll talk to you guys later, man. Peace.